I have redrawn the schematics in order to have a better understanding of this amplifier. So actually there are two stages in this amplifier. One power stages, which drive the motor here, and another stage, this is the first stage. So let's have a look on the power stage here. So you can notice that we have 4 windings here. Okay, so first the motor here, it's an AC motor with a reference winding and a drive winding here. So the reference winding is connected to the AC power supply, which is this line here, the black wire. The drive winding here with the associated capacitor, which permits to have a 90 degrees phase shift, is connected between these 2 points. So if you look carefully, it is not obvious when it is drawn that way, but it is identical to a bridge. So we have our 4 windings. So one transformer is A, and second transformer is B here. So for example, when the transformer A is saturated, the impedance of the windings is very low. So this point is connected to the power supply, and this point is connected to the ground, so the motor will run in one direction. And if it is the transformer B which is saturated, in this case this point will be connected to a power supply and the other one to the ground, and the motor runs in the other direction. So depending on the saturation of transformer A or transformer B, the motor runs in one direction or in another one. So this is the goal of these 2 transformers here. So they are saturable transformers. This is called also saturable reactors. So the goal is to achieve a 0 volt between these 2 terminals here. And in this case, there will be the same current or a current which is close to 0 on these 2 windings. And in this case, the motor will stop. So the goal now is to have a DC current in this winding, for example, when the AC voltage here is in phase with the reference phase of the motor, or if it is in opposite phase, there should be a DC current in that winding, much higher than the other one, in order to have an unbalance. In this case, this will provide the saturation of this transformer or the other one. So at a given time, only one transformer is saturated, and when the motor stops, none of the transformers is saturated. So at the beginning I thought that the first transformer, the toroidal transformer, was a normal transformer, so the toroidal transformer is this one here, but actually these transformers are also saturable transformers, because I didn't understand first the goal of this winding here. So I will explain you the behavior of this system. It is not so complicated, but it is interesting to understand this technique. This is a technique which was used in the 50s. So this is called also magnetic amplifiers. I think that some of you maybe has already heard about that. But I think it's interesting to understand that, even if it is an old technique, because the saturation of the core is something which we use, for example, in a Fleget sensor. This permits to measure the very small magnetic field. And I have also in my stock several compass for aircraft. So I will do a teardown also one day. I have 3 or 4 of them. So this kind of compass uses also some magnetic core, so permalloy generally, in order to measure the direction of the magnetic field, the Earth. So let's return to this circuit. So we can see that the input here, the input voltage, the differential voltage, is split into 2 voltages. So these 2 voltages are actually in phase opposition, okay, because they have the same signal in common here. So the AC voltage appears in this winding here, okay, in both windings. So you have noticed also that we have a 56 ohms here, which is placed between the AC power supply and one input terminal of this rectifying bridge. So the AC voltage of this rectifying bridge is the sum of the detected voltage here, which is duplicated in this winding, and an amount of the AC voltage here. Okay, so in normal mode, if this thing is centered, we'll have the same voltage here, and nothing happens. But if there is an imbalance here, that is to say, if there is a change on the speed of the aircraft, for example, or a change of the altitude also, there will be an imbalance between these two voltages, not this one, but across the bridge here, because it is the sum of the AC voltage, but this voltage is in opposite phase regarding to the other one. Okay, so when there is an increase here, there will be a decrease in relative to the phase. So when there is, for example, an increase of this AC voltage, there will be an increase of the DC voltage here. Okay, so there will be an increase of the DC current which will flow into these two windings here. So this DC current will try to saturate this transformer and this one also, because the windings here are connected in series. So when this transformer will saturate, this will decrease the impedance of this winding here. This point will be connected more or less to the ground. There will be only the DCR of this winding. So the AC voltage as the input of this bridge will be more or less the power supply voltage here, with this divider 56 ohms and 360 ohms. So there will be a high DC current which will flow into this thing, which will help to saturate. So it is actually a positive feedback. The motor is linked to this potentiometer. The wiper of the potentiometer will move in a direction in order to reduce the saturation until the voltage between these two terminals is 0 volt. In this case, the motor will stop. If there is a change in the other direction, this will saturate the other transformers here, and the motor will run in the other direction. It's an interesting technique because it is possible to do a servo control loop without any transistors, only using saturable transformers. So this is called magnetic amplifiers also. Maybe we can make some tests, for example, with this transformer, which is this one here. So we can measure the impedance, for example, in this winding here, and when applying a DC current in that winding. So I will change the orientation of the camera to see the impedance in my LCR meter here, like that. So I will measure the current with this multimeter, for example, and the impedance will be measured with the LCR meter here. So I will try to make a zoom out in order to see also the transformer. Okay, so I will measure the impedance between the blue and the green. Okay, so the LCR meter is connected in impedance mode at 400 Hz. So we have an impedance of 1.13 kilo ohms. So I will apply a DC current. So I will monitor the DC current here. So I have connected this to a power supply. So we connect another wire here. So I will set the range to 100 milliamp, for example, and I will apply a current between the yellow and the white here. The current is 0 at this time. Okay, and I will increase the power supply. Okay, so we can see that with the current of 4 milliamps, for example, the impedance drops to 400 ohms. Okay, and you see with 10 milliamp we have 200 ohms, and with 20 milliamps we have more or less 100 ohms. So the impedance is divided by 10, sorry, when the current is 200 milliamps. So if I increase the current, the impedance will be the impedance of the inductor when the permeability of the core is the permeability of the vacuum. So after, the impedance will be constant, so I don't know which value that I can increase. After, I don't know the maximum current which is allowable in this inductor. I think it is close to 12 ohms, because here the current, this is the maximum current of my power supply, but yes, it is close to 12 ohms. So the saturation current is 100 milliamp. So the core doesn't exist with this current. It is like if it was a vacuum. So the core is totally saturated and the permeability of the material is mu0. The relative permeability of the core is 1. If it was possible to remove the core, the impedance will be the same actually. So it depends on the material, so I don't know the material used for this transformer. I think it's permalloy or something like that. So permalloy, it's an alloy, it's a mixture of nickel, iron and some copper sometimes. So when you have this kind of alloy, there is an increase of the relative permeability, which can be several hundred thousands. So sometimes it can be 5 or 600 thousands on the permeability, on the relative permeability. So this permits to have a high impedance, but generally there will be a small saturation also. So the what is called the coercitivity force of the material is very small. So if you apply a small DC magnetic field, which can be caused by an external magnetic field, like in this transformer, which can be caused by a second winding. In this case, the core can saturate. So in this case, the transformer is like a switch. Where there is no DC current, the impedance of the winding is high because it is defined by the turn number and the permeability of the material. And when you apply a small DC current, the core will saturate, and in this case the impedance of the winding is low. It depends only on the DCR of the winding. It is not possible to do some tests at this moment because one transformer is not operational, one winding is open. So maybe I can see if I can place another winding on this transformer. It depends on the turn number, but maybe the turn number for this winding is not so high. If it is 100, it can be possible, and fortunately I have the second one, so I can make some comparison. I can measure first the ratio, and maybe after that it can be possible to do some tests. So I don't know, it will depend if I find the time to do that, because I spent already 2 or 3 days for that. So anyway, I think it was interesting to see this old technique. So I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you for watching.